Doubles and coffee. You know, sometimes I wonder if people just like to make arguments in vacuums. I'm hearing PNM people and Her Excellency the President herself comparing her appointment superficially to the appointment of ANR Robinson in 1997 as president. And the simplistic, superficial argument is that ANR Robinson was an active politician and became president. And therefore, Christine Kangaloo, having been an active politician and becoming president, is no problem based on that. Well, first and foremost, the PNM has no problem putting an active politician as president, because the very first president, Sir Ellis Clark, moved from being Attorney General, who wrote and who gave us our first constitution, telling us that's what we were trained to follow. So he didn't listen to anybody south of the lighthouse. It didn't have Grand Bazaar then. But let's deal with this situation about ANR Robinson versus Christine Kangaloo. First and foremost, anyone who studies politics, likes politics, is interested in politics will understand that ANR Robinson was never a member of the UNC. So the Prime Minister at that time, Bastio Pandey, did not appoint a member, an active member of his party to be president. Number one, ANR Robinson was the leader of the NAR. In 1995, the election was 17-2. But what makes it even worse, in 1986, when the NAR won, the NAR was an amalgam of the ULF that had 12 out of 36 seats, the ONR, and then other splinter groups joined and so on, DLP, Tapia House, whatever element. But the main strength of the NAR came from Bastio Pandey and the leader, as the leader of the ULF, 12 seats. He allowed magnanimously ANR Robinson to lead the group, particularly because he understood the racial politics that existed in Trinidad and Tobago and may have been exacerbated and is worse at this time in Trinidad and Tobago in 2025. But that's a different discussion. When the NAR, ULF took 12 seats, joined with ONR, who had no seats, who got 90,000 votes in 1981, and George Chambers beat them. Not a damn seat for them was the Calypso. NAR won 33-3. ANR Robinson, anyone who reads and understands, did not treat Bastio Pandey as the powerhouse that made him, as the kingmaker, as a man who he was indelibly grateful to for allowing him to be Prime Minister. ANR Robinson acted as if he won the whole 33-3 by himself and treated Bastio Pandey from day one as a persona non grata, as a person without respect. Bastio Pandey did not even know and was not consulted on what portfolio he would be given in the cabinet. I believe the first portfolio he was given was Minister of Foreign Affairs. This did not last very long. It could not last because of poor management style, lack of responsible thought, gratitude, understanding of the power matrix, and a man who just usurped power without thinking carefully. So Club 88 was formed in 1988. That was less than a year and a half after the NAR amalgamation won. Then the UNC was born. And then the coup came in 1990 and PNM returned in 1995. Think about how Bastio Pandey felt about ANR Robinson. Did he think that he was beholden to him? That he was going to do everything he said, that Bastille Pandey was the mentor for A&R Robinson, that A&R Robinson was preaching the gospel of the UNC, the ULF, Club 88? Absolutely not. So when A&R Robinson was appointed in 1997, there is no comparison to Keith Rowley, the mentor of Christine Carla Kangaloo. She is his mini-me. She has made speeches saying how grateful over the years she was for his mentorship. He put her as president of the Senate. And then we can talk about her performance. Go back and watch the video. Don't take my word. Don't take the Douglas word for it. I bias. I UNC. Go and look at it for yourself and see how she acted as president of the Senate with UNC opposition members as opposed to PNM. So Christine Carla Kangaloo was a staunch believer in the gospel of the PNM, the gospel of Rowley. She was beholden to Rowley and still is. So anybody to make a comparison with A&R Robinson being an active politician and being president is being disingenuous at best and dishonest at worst. Furthermore, when it came to 2001, when Ramesh, Romeo, and Ralph collapsed the UNC government that had just won an election by itself for the first time without assistance from anybody. But the government collapsed within 1 year because men were greedy for power and played games with the PNM. The election was called by Bastille Pandey and it ended up 18-18. Who was in the office of president? President A.N.R. Robinson. A.N.R. Robinson, I was there in politics and I knew he would find some way to hand it to the PNM, to give it to Patrick Manning. And so said, so done, because he went to the preamble of the Constitution and quoted some spurious part with illogical conclusions about moral and spiritual values and handed a government 18-18 to the opposition, when in any form of fashion, in any type of competition, one would know that in order to become the champion, you must dethrone the champion. To equate or to be equal to the champion or the incumbent, the norm will be that the incumbent continues. That was the norm globally, politically, sporting-wise. But A.N.R. Robinson was so filled with venom and hatred for Bastille Pandey that he scoured the Constitution to come up with some sort of concoction to take power from Pandey and give it to Manning, because he blamed Pandey for the collapse of the NAR. So anyone who sits there and thinks and says that there's any comparison to A.N.R. Robinson using his power and his negotiation to become president of the Republic, and Christine Carla Kangaloo being hand-selected, hand-picked by her loving mentor, Christopher Rowley, to be president, is really dishonest. And Christine Carla Kangaloo, for you to allude to that in your speech at Arthur Lockjack, I am all ashamed of you, really and truly. Ladies and gentlemen, we ain't playing. The truth will always prevail. Go back and check. Go back and read. Go back and understand. This is only PNM who does that. Only PNM. When Kamala Persad had the opportunity to elect a president, she did not go and get a UNC stalwart, a passionate disciple of the UNC. She got an independent, fair-minded jurist of impeccable character and a track record of independent judgment, former President Carmona. And it even went a bit to her disadvantage. But that is Kamala Persad-Bissessar. She believes in the Constitution. She believes in fairness. She believes that independent institutions should be allowed to function in order for our democracy to thrive. The PNM believes that they must control everything. Dr. Williams did it, and Rowley did it worse. So don't compare ANR Robinson becoming president based on his negotiation power and thwarting Bastille Pandey. He acted as a check and balance because he didn't like Pandey. He didn't want Pandey. And he handed the government away from Pandey. And if Pandey was not such a gentleman, such a patriot, he could have fought that with every sinew of his being, that 1818, that ridiculous decision. But Pandey put country before self at that time. Now all they don't go and say, but Annie, they argue with Pandey after. Yes, that's a totally different thing. He couldn't accept the licking that Kamla Prasad Bisesa put on him, and his family didn't say, sir, you lost, no big thing, we still love you, help your party grow, you made the party. He went in his last years suffering from political banker, and I disagreed with his decisions, pushing his daughter forward, like trying to hand her power like it's a cow. I disagree with that, but that's okay. You don't have to agree with somebody all the time to say when they did something great. So back in that time, he was magnanimous, he was patriotic, and he put country first, even in the face of the most ridiculous rationale known to man, moral and spiritual values to hand over our government to the opposing party by what y'all are now claiming was a political appointment similar to this Kangaloo appointment by Rowley. Abject, total nonsense. So I hope you all remember the facts, and the argument can now be laid to rest. And to Madam President, it has nothing to do with you being female, being a woman, having long hair, and me being bald head, you wearing dress and I wearing suit. Nothing. It has to do with your love, your overt love for the gospel of the PNM that is espoused in your actions. Those 7 years that you said you were not in active politics, you were the most active politician as you wielded a bullying PNM pulpit from the seat of the President of the Senate, as you bullied the UNC. Remember, you weren't just bullying me. I wasn't there representing Anil. I was representing 309,000 UNC voters who were bullied by you every time I got up to make a contribution. So I hope this lays it to rest and let the people decide for themselves. And the president, senators, God bless all you. Bless.